Tuperas y tuperas today on DOOP by the River. You already know what type of podcast this is going to be. After what happened on Tuesday night over in Los Angeles, of course, for the Philadelphia Union, their CCL run is over. We're going to discuss that as we look ahead. It is still Red Bull week, guys. Anybody excited? Well, we're going to talk about it here on this episode of DOOP by the River. Don't you dare go anywhere because you do not want to miss it. And let's get it started, guys. Done.
DOOP by the River
doesn't do anything well. There is not one.
I'm sorry. There was no creativity.
As a Union fan, I'd take that all day.
Another DP. We need to go get Mario Balotelli. And that is right. Welcome, everyone, to DOOP by the River, the show where we follow everything Philadelphia Union. Of course, we are brought to you by Philly Sports Network. Before we dive into today's episode, welcome, everybody. Welcome on back, I should be saying. We got YouTube at Parcero Philly's YouTube channel here live. Of course, we got DOOP by the River's Twitter account live here as well. If you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe for all of your future viewings of DOOP by the River, and make sure you guys follow us on Twitter. And, of course, you can find us wherever you stream podcasts. Find us under DOOP by the River Podcast. And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, I am so happy to be back with my man, Justin. Today, he's Justin General. Glenn, oh, I like that, Glenn. No, Friedberg. Justin, may the 4th be with you. How you feeling, brother?
It's been an interesting past few weeks. Trying to take it all in, and been a bit busy. We've had our break from the pod while you were having a lovely vacation, and also congratulations.
Thank you,
man. on the engagement, my friend. Listen,
someone got a ring, Justin.
I was gonna say, yeah, someone in Philadelphia came back with a ring. But no, it's been a nice, busy few weeks for me. Especially getting into if I sound a little hoarse and tired, it's because I ran my second in-person D&D one-shot last night over at Red, White, and Brew in Audubon. And I am tired. It was a long 3 hours, and I put all my energy into it. But it was very much fun. So if I sound tired and exhausted, it is because I love the two things I love: D&D and soccer. Take all of my energy. So,
dude, we really do appreciate it. Both of us are gonna apologize. I'm still trying to accustom myself to Philly time. Portugal right now is 5 hours ahead, so that's kind of still. And still, I'm also working as well. So yeah, we're both tired, but I think that this podcast is extremely necessary for this fan base, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But yeah, I do want to first off, thank you, Justin. Thank everyone who congratulated me. It was a truly special moment for me, finally putting, especially for people, especially like Justin and Tim, who've known me for a while, Nat and I have been together for a while, and finally put that ring on the finger. It's a proud moment for our family here. But not only just that, Justin, I came away, dude, I love Portuguese soccer, and I'm obviously wearing the kit, I messaged you right away. I was like, dude, I got my first goalie kit finally for Justin, and
goalie kits are shit, man.
Dude, this is comfy as shit. I traveled with this, bro. This is so comfy for real.
So
I don't wear these.
So if I'm understanding at the wedding that there's gonna be some guaro shots, and now
man,
some peri sauce, a little bit of mix of both. You gotta balance that out.
I think I gained 10 pounds just off their food is so under. I don't know why we don't talk about it more in America or eat it more in America. It's so good, Justin.
I think it's just because people it's all in that same realm of Spanish food. I mean, remember, it's the same peninsula, and the food in Spain and Portugal are just fresh seafood, just some amazing cuts of beef and ham, and God, I have heard amazing things about Portugal, and I've wanted to go. It's definitely on. I have a bucket list of especially in Europe, traveling around. My ultimate goal is to do a soccer tour.
Yeah, man.
And I think doing either seeing like a Porto or like a Sporting game probably would be up there for me.
So it's really cool, and like I don't know if you've done this, but the stadium tours is like a thing in Europe. So I did Porto, I did Sporting. We went to Benfica, and me and Nat didn't feel it. Like we just didn't feel the vibes of Benfica. Like we walked around, we were contemplating it, but we just didn't feel the vibes. Now Sporting was very, very, very intriguing. I loved the club. I love the green as well. You know what sold me away from Sporting though, Justin? It was the love for Cristiano Ronaldo, which I get, but you know me, I can't.
I mean,
Ronaldo.
yeah, he is the
You-
best player to probably one of the best players to come out there.
Good academy too that they have in Torres.
Yeah, I mean the Sporting to Man U pipeline.
Yeah.
Cristiano, Nani, Bruno. It's kind of one of those things that like, yeah, man, Sporting's one of those factors, man. They just keep replacing.
It's great. It's great ground. I recommend checking them. Even Benfica. I didn't feel it, but definitely would recommend checking out. Lisboa is a great party and food town. But Porto definitely captivated me. The city. It's a beautiful city. You go to the stadium, you feel the history, and then of course I see a picture of Jackson Martinez with James Rodriguez with Radamel Falcao, and you know me, Justin. That's all you need to do right there. And I'm sold, man. I was sold right away.
You
And
know,
Holtby.
if there
I
was
saw
like,
Holtby.
unless we're like Reid Mondragon and Porto would have been the only sort of pull together.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So definitely I fell in love with Portuguese football, as they say it over there. I guess Justin, we do have to say congratulations to Napoli. It's cool, I guess. Congratulations, long overdue, but obviously, we don't understand the Confederate flag and the connection to that, but it definitely was weird dampering to their Scudetto win. But no, congratulations to Napoli. But
Italy. That's all I say. Italy.
Italian football will never ever make sense, man. It just never ever will make
Nope.
sense, brother. How's man? I saw McAllister put a dagger in Man U. Was it today or yesterday?
Today 1-0. I mean, listen, at this point, their schedule of run-ins pretty decent. I would be surprised if they've slipped top four. I mean, people are like, "Oh, Liverpool or Brighton's going to chase them." It's like it's a bit too little, too late at this point. I don't think Man U's going to drop as many games. The injuries have kind of not caught up, but like when you're missing Varane and Lissandro, to your top center backs, and Luke Shaw's been doing actually an admirable job as a left-sided center back. On that kind of stuff, you really can't exactly. That's one of those tough breaks. You're like, yeah, fuck. And of course, I missed it because I was driving home, and I'm like, of course, it's the penalty of all things. But I mean, if Anthony finishes that chance early in the game, it's a 1-1 game. But hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Well, at least Everton's getting relegated, so there's.
Honestly, the Premier League relegation race is who can be less shit of the complete shit. Like the amount of things that like West Ham and Leeds and Leicester City and Wolves have all done to fuck themselves over and yet somehow not be bought. Like, it blows my mind that there are 3 teams shit enough to be in that. Like, normally in most seasons, those 3 teams would be in the bottom. That would be the bottom 3 by like a comfortable mile.
It is entertaining. Like I always like throw in my head like the debate, like the pro rel, topic, and it is kind of entertaining. Like when you're looking at, especially like over in Europe, like most of the time who's going to win the championship, right? But like the relegation battle, you don't know most of the time you don't know who's going to get relegated, and that's intriguing for sure. That's something we don't get to enjoy too much here in the United States. Maybe soon, Justin. We don't know. You imagine us in like second division MLS or
no? Don't say pro rel too loud. Ted Westervelt. You say it 3 times. Ted Westervelt comes on the podcast. and starts another beef with Applebee's. Yes, that's the last thing we need to do is cater to the fucking pro-rel zealots.
I hear you. I definitely hear you. But yeah, it's time, Justin. It's time to talk about this team. And look, I know we're not dumb. Like, we obviously are going to talk about LAFC, but I think more importantly, I think this is a time right now that we all just need to vent and just put out there what we're feeling, because what happened this week, getting eliminated, sucked, and the way they did it sucked. Now, I think for me personally, and I'm gonna get your thoughts as well, Justin. Going into the match, I felt a little optimistic simply because you just needed goals, and from what we saw, they don't have problems scoring goals in LA. Winning's a different story. But that's really all you needed, and so I had the optimism, and I thought that they could do it. But dude, just like from Ali's yellow card, after that it didn't feel right. And then obviously you saw what happened. You got the double yellow from Mbaizo. They put up the one goal by Tillman early on, and then the waterfalls of 2 goals at the end of the match essentially. And it was just absolute heartbreaking. So we're just going to talk about this match, and anything you guys are feeling about this team, even if you are in the curtain out crowd, which by the way this podcast is not in, for everyone's attention there. But Justin, where are you at with this club right now after what happened this week with LA?
I mean, listen. At this point, this team has been on very shaky form, like mediocre form, at least for the expectations. But yet, despite that, they made it to the semifinals of the Champions League. And I know, and I've had people say, "Oh, well, they should have won. They really, they the second time it's like okay, well, do you know how hard it is to even qualify for the Champions League? 2, to make it to the semifinals in your only 2 appearances, like that's not exactly an easy feat." And oh yeah, by the way, traveling to LA, I mean, don't get me started on the time of the game, like all stupid. I was asleep before the game even started because I
couldn't even stay awake.
I wasn't even going to bother staying awake for that. But like, yeah, you know what? It's a little disappointing. I'll admit. But for those people who are calling for Curtin to be fired, when this team is 1 win and they're right back in 5th, like the Eastern Conference at this point is so topsy-turvy. Because, hey, guess what? You're only 2 months into the fucking season, and I have stood by this comment, and I will forever stand by this comment. And I said it before, way early in the season. I said it in the Cincinnati game. The first half of the season does not mean shit. If you can turn it around by the summer, by July, you can easily make a run to the playoffs with a good second half of the season. Like, there are a number of teams, not just Seattle, that have done that and done well. Atlanta is an example of, like, yeah, they started well, then they started shit the year that they won the cup. They blew the Shield race, and then they went to the playoffs and blew teams out of the water. Like, at this point, and also like, this is a union. Like, I think these past 4 years or so have skewed like how people have looked at the team historically. This team is not particularly great up until, like, I would say Memorial Day weekend. Like, that's kind of a point where the team, weirdly enough, every year turns it around. And I don't know. I maybe there's a number of things, but maybe I'm just getting tired of people already writing the season off, and I've had people say to me, "Oh, well, Justin, you're not allowing people to be critical." No, you can be critical of the team. Yes, the team has been playing mediocre. Jim Curtin has been poor with subs. This team was not rotating well in a time where they were having injuries. Yes, there are some things, but to say that the season's already lost, to say that it's not like, hey, guess what? We have, U.S. Open Cup as a route to qualify for Champions League. Now the Leagues Cup, which I still don't give two shits about, but that's a way to qualify for CCL. Like, there's a number of things you only need to be in the top 9 to make the playoffs. At this point, like, yeah, okay, we might not repeat in top 2 this year, and it'll be a downturn in the season. I just think people's expectations are getting completely blown out of the water these past few years, and people are going from 0 to 100, and then running into a brick wall. And one of my favorite quotes to describe this entire situation, is kind of a joke, is it's the guy from Top Gear. He goes, "It's not driving fast that kills people. It's suddenly stopping that does." And it, like, that kind of sums up this general situation. Like, you'd have been cruising along, they've been getting better and better and better. And this is like the first real sign of a team that's been struggling. And struggling, like, in a point where they have 3 wins, and a few draws, and for, like, they're in a pretty good situation. They've been decent enough in league play to, again, keep themselves in spitting distance. I've understood that this team is not playing at its best, and there's a lot for this team to work on. But for people who are already saying curtain out and that the season's lost, I don't know what to tell you, people. Like, I legitimately don't know. And it's like probably one of the main reasons I've said that I've stayed off of social media lately. Like, if you have not seen me post anything, it's just because I don't have anything to say, because Union fans left and right are yelling at each other, and it's all this infighting that repeats every time the team is doing questionable. And I don't know. It gets on my nerves. And it's been a lot to this point, and I'm just like, this is the last. I just don't. I've had enough of this shit. Like, all the fucks I've had to give are gone.
I get it. I mean, we're fans. We're fanatics. We're literally crazy. It's in our name. So, I mean, anytime shit hits the wall, this is how we react. That's how it's probably always going to be. I do kind of comprehend where fans are kind of coming from. I don't take it to the point that some of them do, but I do get it. Here's what I want to go with this. And everything in life, there's always a purpose. We do this podcast because we love the team and we love the fans. That's our purpose here. And for the Union, right now, the question that I keep seeing, Justin, is, are they good enough? Are they still that good? I don't think there's any question that this is still one of the elite squads in the MLS. But then when you go into this tournament where you have the best of the best, not only in our league, but in our continent, you wound up being in the Final Four. And I think what annoys people the most, and this is what actually annoys me as well, is the way they showed up in LA for that match. That was very discouraging for sure. Now, going forward, like you just said, schedule is not favorable. They don't typically go off historically until the summertime. So Champions League scheduling is always going to be rough. But luckily, and this is for every MLS team, Champions League scheduling is always rough for these MLS teams. But you got to get it done. And for the Union, in the 2 times in the last 3 years, they've gotten to the semis. That is still impressive. So, yes, we're going to celebrate that. We're done. We have to move forward from LA. We got to look at this season because, like Justin just said, there is hardware to be won, and especially the one that I really want, and that MLS Cup is still there. So right now, we got to figure this out. All right. So the issues right now, right? Let's start with Jim Boy, right? Because I do think that it is a little bit of an issue. Justin, you alluded to it as well. Rotation, tactical flexibility. You know what drove me insane, Justin? Before the game, they're doing their coaches' interviews. Steve Cherundolo smiling, looking in the camera, and he literally knows how he's going to beat the Union. Why? Because it's predictable. And it's one thing to do it in league play, but like it's every single game. Now you're bringing it into Champions League. You're doing it against LAFC, who you saw already twice within the last couple months, and you're on the same style again. Now the energy in the match didn't feel, it wasn't there, But again, like you're not throwing anything different at LAFC. Throw something different. Justin, how many times these last couple podcasts? I know we took a week and a half hiatus, but how many times have we talked about Pereira minutes, Torres minutes, Low minutes? These are guys who've shown quality. Why are we giving that trust to them? Why not just change things up? And I think that is another piece of the frustrations as well. Like there's nothing to prepare with the Union. Like yes, it is very difficult to break down the Union. Yes, they're a very strong defensive side, but when you have the talent of LAFC, you can get past that. And for the Union, you got to do something different against LAFC. Now, I do think that LAFC is a very, very talented squad, but that doesn't mean that the Union can't beat them later on down the line. And what I mean by that, yes, I mean like MLS Cup. Justin, I think that this team, number one, needs to see exactly what they have. That means Jimmy Boy needs to open up. It means he needs to try to throw different things around, like even like try like Carranza and Torres, or just try something different formations. How many times have we talked about a 3-back set? How many times have we seen it this season? I do think that they still need a piece, maybe two, if that. But the talent is here. We got to put it together. And that's what we have this summer to figure it out. I'm not going Jim out. This man has done so much for this club. And yes, he does deserve fault for what happened. But man, I think that there's still more to the soccer team. You know what I mean? Like I just don't, we can't go to the route of curtain out. We have to wait and see what we have here. But for you, Justin, do you think this squad is good enough later down the line to beat LAFC, or do we need to add to it?
I mean, I think it's like two separate questions, because is the squad deep enough and is the squad good enough to beat LAFC are very much two different conversations in my head. I think at the end of the day, you look at it and go, this team's deep enough to make a run in the playoffs. That much is clear. Like, I don't think that's an issue. I do think looking at this run of form, you look at it and go, okay, in the summer, do you pick up one or two more pieces? Yeah, I think that's fair. I know we had heard kind of unsubstantiated rumors of potentially an MLS vet at the time. I believe it was like a few months ago or in the season. I know there were talks about it. I think at that point, yeah, I think you do need a couple pieces to beat LAFC. But right now, I don't see any reason why you can't make another run in the playoffs. Like, this team is absolutely built for those ugly games. And I think, especially if they can slowly improve themselves, that you get up to like top 4, and you're basically guaranteed a playoff game for at least a few rounds. And I think if the Union can right the ship and throw some rotation in there, then you'll look good. But yeah, it's not the best right now, but I think this squad's deep enough at least to make a run. But I certainly think, yeah, they need a piece or two to really go at LAFC. I mean, I think that's with any team. I think that's a tough ask at this point to go at LAFC. LAFC, unfortunately, are the juggernauts because they have the most money and prestige to throw around. Unfortunately, that's how, like, welcome to the problems like La Liga, where Real Madrid and Barcelona dominate the revenue and the pull of the best players. Like, or your Bundesliga, where Bayern can just pick up anybody because they are Bayern.
Isn't that what the salary cap's for here, though, or whatever our rules that we have for our DPs?
See, I think people think, oh, if you get the salary cap is gone. No, that's not how that works. The mechanism is like DPs and TAM, all that stuff is basically what the teams can afford. And hey, listen, ownership groups are different. That's just how it is. Like, I mean, it's why it's also the way the league is. It's why a lot of American ownership groups now are buying teams in Europe because it's cheaper to buy there. But like your money goes farther if you can somehow invest in MLS and like, hey, like it's backwards, but money talks in football. That's kind of how that's the name of the game now. Your club has enough money to buy these players. Yeah, you're gonna be better. You can hire the best coaches and all this. But yeah, you're gonna be the better teams. Like every now and then there's Cinderella runs, but unfortunately, like unless Jay Sugarman sells the team or Ernst Tanner finds the next Victor Osimhen, in the third division of Luxembourg, like I don't know what to tell you. Like, and that's the unfortunate, difficult thing of being a club that has scraped by to success the way the Union have.
All right. So the thing for me, though, because I do think that this team has depth, and I think it is there, but it's like we were told before the season, we made these acquisitions because of the scheduling, and I haven't really seen that much of the rotation. We've talked about different tactics for the past couple seasons, and I know that today's day and age is not per se about the tactic that you see before the match. It can say 4-4-2, but it could look at like a 4-3-3 at certain points. Like I get all of that, but it just seems like it's just the same thing that we're throwing every single match. Now, last year during the summer, I did see the Union possess the ball more, build the ball up more, and that type of stuff really haven't seen so much so far. And so before we look, I do think that I look at LAFC and you look at the bench and what they're able to kind of bring out and finding some difference makers. I mean, look at last year. They had Gareth Bale coming off the freaking bench in MLS Cup. Like that's hard to match for sure. But finding that guy coming off the bench, that's why I say if there was like an older Euro forward who just wants to come here, take a little bit of a pay cut, and just bang some goals for 30 minutes. Like, dude, that's like ideal. I know that's so hard to find. It's like asking for a long wing in basketball to come with the Sixers. You can play 3
Andre Kramaric. I know he's been rumored to MLS for a bunch of years. He's a vet in his early to mid 30s. Dude's still balling out on a team, an Hoffenheim team that is not really that good. I'm just saying, there are guys out there that are, hey, they're not not the Union style, but sometimes, man, you just gotta fucking throw someone up there and say, score me a fucking goal.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing. Like, I think Quinn needs more minutes, but I think it's also shown that Chris Donovan. I mean, we can't keep putting that out there, and we're gonna see our guy Corey Burke this week, and we definitely do miss him for the fact of what he brought to the table, and that's kind of what you're missing in those 30 minutes. I mean, how many matches did the Union? It's like a 2-1 match, and then Corey Burke comes in, and then you're finding yourself 3-1, 4-1 lead, and that's the type of stuff that you are missing here. Couple players I want to ask you about, Justin. Let's start off with Ure. Where are you at right now? We are almost season and a third, I guess, with Ure. How you feeling about him, man?
I mean, right now he's I believe he's our leading scorer.
Is that wild?
Or him and Carranza. I mean, overall, I know league goals. I think he's on 5. I think he is one of the best strikers that this team has seen. I think, yeah, Carranza is going to get more of the accolades and probably a more lion's share more of the goals. But if Ua can still put in double digits, that's still pretty damn good. I mean, and considering how many injuries he had last year, he still put up double digits. He's had 5 league goals this season. Carranza at this point is going to put up double digits. Gazdag is still scoring. Ua, I don't know what some people have against Ua. I will say this. I mean, him and Carranza are probably going to potentially finish 1-2 in terms of, for me, of best Union strikers, because I consider Seba a forward, not necessarily a striker. And yes, For all you people, better than fucking Casper. Like I get tired of
That's
having
right.
to deal with that shit over and over and over again. It was exactly what the team's been needing, and he stretches the game and does a lot of the stuff that we've never had players do. Like Carranza is the guy who gets in the gritty areas and finishes off, and Uwa is the one who stretches the play and forces that save and gets the corner kick, and then that leads to a goal. Like I absolutely glad that we have Uwa, and I wish we've had more players of his caliber over the years, because I think we definitely would have been a better team with a player like him in a two striker set.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's like I see everything that he brings. It's just like I feel like I'm not seeing it consistently enough. Like everything you mentioned, I have seen, but like there are times where I do see him disappear. And so I think that's where I'm at. The whole I'd rather have Casper. Yeah, no, definitely not. But for sure, consistency is something that I would like to see more from him. Dude, Mbaizo, bro, like there are moments where like Mbaizo bringing the ball up the flank, gets these beautiful crosses in, being so aggressive in the attack, and then he just has some boneheaded plays, and those 2 yellows, bro. Like, come on, man. I mean, I don't know. Wait, where are you at with Mbaizo? So frustrating.
Yeah, because like I was the biggest Bizo anti Bizo person up until last year when he started playing well, and I was trying hard to defend him, but like he doesn't make it easy on himself. Because he has all the flair in the world to bring it up and connect with Ali, and he's gotten better at tracking back. But yeah, it's those fucking boneheaded plays. You look and just go, "Are you fucking kidding me, Olivier? Like, you're only 1-0 down, and you get 2 yellows in the span of how like what the what the fuck is wrong with you? Like that. If I'm Jim, I bench him against Red Bull on Saturday. Send a statement. Like, no one is above the team. And I think Jim has made it very clear over the years, if a player is going to get in the way of this team's chemistry and other results on the field, they're gone. And I think Olivier, I hope he genuinely understands that you can't be pulling that kind of shit when the team needs it most. And listen, that you were down 1-0. Your team was trying to claw back, and you just signed the death knell. Like with him on with if you have 11 players in the field, who knows if those 2 goals happen? I don't think they do. Like, I think that's the frustrating part. But like every time Olivier gets to that point, it's like, man, and then you're just like, fuck. Now I remember why. Like, it's just frustrating to a point now, and I'm just getting tired of it.
It is. How much of do you think we felt at Brujo's absence? That's another topic I heard a lot about.
I think a bit. I still think his presence is overstated because, I mean, we had Brujo in the MLS Cup final, but we didn't have Ali. And I'd say Ali's presence is more important on the field than Brujo's is. I just think, like against LAFC, I don't think Brujo's tactics work. Like, that's a still team, and all it's going to do is draw fouls in the better areas. And that's what they did in the MLS Cup final. So, like, yeah, it would have been nice to have him, but I think maybe it's a little overstated how much his not being there hurt this team.
All right. So, I mean, before we move forward with this attack, is there anything you think that they need to do better in order to allow this beast to become alive again like last year?
I think they have to stop being so one-dimensional at times. I think you see Ali a lot making those runs on the wing. Gozak's dropping in the space, and he's finding the spaces, and he's connecting with the outside backs, and they're getting the chances into the box. but like, there's always that caveat of, well, if Ali's on the field, that's why Perea can't be on the field because Perea and Ali do the same exact thing. And then, well, if you don't have Ali on the field, then do you have Leon or do you have like? It's these combinations that you these mental gymnastics and over and over and over again, and like it's also you play the same fucking formation. I mean against Cincinnati, I know it wasn't the best of rotated lineups, but a back three actually worked. Like they scored on a penalty, and you had some of the better chances in that game. I would like to think that you could still utilize a back three a little more, but hey, I think it's just a sense of frustration right now, and
Yeah, man.
obviously with CCL done, I think you can now tend to focus on actually improving your league play.
I agree, man. I agree. So I think like for all of us here, look, it's a long season. We have a lot of soccer played, and you have three other pieces of actually four. I'm sorry, four other pieces of hardware that you could win going forward. So they have plenty of time to figure this out. I think if you look at the track record, I think that they will figure it out. We'll see what happens later on down the line. But with that, let's move forward, Justin. Let's look at our upcoming matchup here. Saturday night, the boys will be heading up to North Jersey to face off against the Red Bull. And before we get into the matchup, a lot of talk this week, Justin, as well. And in the midst of being pissed off about getting eliminated CCL, the discussion of the whole rivalry gets brought up again. We've kind of owned them in the last four seasons. I think it's been a while. But where are we at? Like, I remember when I first started doing Union coverage, the whole topic was, well, you guys can't beat us, so it's not a rival. Well, now they can't beat us, and now we really don't care about them. So I mean, where are you at with Red Bull? Do you still feel the same way?
I don't give a shit. Like, no, it's just ridiculous.
The Van Zier things made it easy to hate them again. That's for sure.
Well, at this point, even their own fans hate them.
That's true too, man.
I like listen. If we don't have a rival, who fucking gives a shit? Like, unless Pittsburgh Riverhounds come up from USL,
do it, Donnie.
I don't see any real rivalries of sort. Like I
really, you don't feel anything for NYC or Revs at all.
I mean, what one plays on a field that really isn't a field, and the other are the Revolution. Like I don't give enough of a shit about the New England Bob Crafts, and NYCFC. Like, there's a number of reasons to dislike them, not including their proximity. I don't think proximity automatically determines rivalry. Like, I mean, think about it. Some of the best games the Union have played over the last 4 years have come against LAFC. Would you really consider them a rival? Not really, but
They're trying to create that. I saw that shit, and obviously you saw the fan base going back and forth.
Oh yeah, you mean the fact that we were paying homage to them and they didn't understand that, and apparently we stole a jump for Philadelphia when we never said we invented it and everyone's been doing it, and the fact that probably a bunch of their fans were former Chivas USA fans or Galaxy fans and they won't admit to it, but hey,
it's giving Atlanta.
Yeah, it's all this shit. Man, like, why can't we just focus on the soccer and not people just being whatever? Like,
it's American soccer, bro. There's nothing original in our fucking league, man. Besides DOOP. No, I guess not even really DOOP, but I think we kind of use it for everything now. It's just a term that we use these days. But dude, the whole stuff with the Van Zier, I just kind of feel bad for the Red Bull because how can you if that were our club, Like, would we be sitting here doing pods? We'd be sitting here talking about because I don't know if I would.
No, if the union were not doing anything about it, I would not be talking about them. I would not be going into the stadium. I, I like I think the Red Bull fans have it right. I like it was a absolutely fucking pitiful response from the team and especially from the coach. And if I were them, like I would want to dismiss. I wouldn't want that fucker anywhere near the training complex.
Yeah,
And a 6-game suspension. So like, cool. As I said, cool. Calling someone a racist slur is 2 more games more than kicking the ball into the stands. Like, cool. We can equate it. So like, it's something that it's gotten on my nerves that like the response was fucking lackluster, and I can't say I expect much from a energy drink conglomerate who has a number of issues around the world, uh, with bastardizing the sport of football. But hey, they want to do whatever they want and not punish a clearly a person who clearly say a very 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 horrible thing. Hey, go for it. It's their player. Doesn't mean the fans have to like it.
dude, we might overtake Red Bull Arena. We might make it Subaru Park, North Jersey. The way it's been looking like lately.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like you said, the fan protests. I don't blame. Well, I mean, fans have been protesting by not showing up for years, but I mean, the fan protests even now further. Like it's starting. It's becoming way more noticeable.
It is bad. So right now, guys, the Red Bull. I mean, this is obviously a distraction that kind of Red Bull kind of brought on themselves. To be honest with you, the club themselves. But because of it, now Red Bull have seen themselves drop to bottom of the table. Now, obviously, Miami, Montreal, Charlotte are with them with 9 points. But here's the bigger picture. And this is why it's important for the Union, excuse me, to find their form. The Union right now are in 10th place with 11 points. It's 2 more than the Red Bull. Now, obviously, if you lose on Saturday, Red Bull kind of jump you. The New England and Cincinnati are in first with 21 points. But yeah, Justin, like you kind of want to stay afloat. You kind of, it's still early, but you want to slowly start getting things into gear. And what better way to do that with the Red Bull squad who is struggling? They have to be pissed off. Like, how are you not pissed off after what happened this week against LA? Like, I needed to see these guys play with some emotion, some cojones, papa. You feel me? Like, that's the type of stuff that we need to see this Saturday against the Red Bull. Treat it like a rivalry game if you need be, but I need to see some energy up in the energy drink stadium.
I mean, I think if like it is the same thing I said about Toronto. The reason they're afloat are because of all the draws they have. Their offense is not really clicking all that much. And hey, guess what? The guy they signed to really do it is suspended because he's a racist prick. Like Corey Burke is, again, for all we loved about him, it's the same shit we said. Like, yeah, he'll give you all the energy, but his scoring production isn't going to be always great.
He's better off the bench too, man.
But they don't have that luxury. They don't have the depth still. Their defense is still very thin. Like,
they got Tolkien playing as center back now.
Yeah, like
oh, shit, man.
It's like they don't. I mean, they don't have the depth, and they're just skating by on the draws. And we saw what happened when we played Toronto. I'm not saying it's going to be a 4-2 victory, but like, I don't see a reason why. Hey, guess what? You didn't play great against LAFC, but you remember that Toronto game? Yeah, well, this team is shaping up to feel like that.
Yeah, this is the type of match that I just like. I know we said this before, but like I just don't see how the Union just drop points here. Got to go up there in a situation where Red Bull are in a bad spot. You obviously not are in a good spot either, but compared to what they have to deal with, you come on, got to show up in Red Bull Arena. You gotta bowl out here. Let's talk a little bit about starting lineups here, Justin. So, Andre took a little bit of a beating this week against LA. So, I would expect him to start here with everything good. But how you feeling about that?
Yeah, come on. Listen. First of all, we got to get on this merch. Write that name in permanent marker. Maybe we'll get
Sharpie,
yeah,
the company. Hit us up, man. Hit us
yeah,
up.
Sharpie. You want to do some gear? Let's hit up a collab. At DOOP by the river. We'll talk some business. But
Let's go.
yeah, like I think with being a goalie, like I know you have to shake it off like one moment to the next, like within games, from game to game. And Andre's a vet; he's strong enough vet. I generally don't think a game like this, we've had worse in his time with the Union. I don't think he's going to be affected. So yeah, of course he's going to be back between the sticks.
All right. Any chance Jim maybe changes the formation a little bit? Or we gonna keep going with this 4-4-2 diamond?
I think against Red Bull, you Red Bull them. They're gonna come with the same formation. I think the change though is I think you put Nate in on the right. I think you gotta make that same move with Olivier. I don't see any reason why you would want him to play.
What about the center backs though? I personally think there needs to be more of a rotation because I need more low.
I think if you're gonna rotate, it's gonna be against Minnesota on Tuesday.
You got a lot of soccer next week too. That's a good point.
So that's the thing. Yeah, you have Tuesday, you have Tuesday, and then West Coast next Saturday. So like, I would say realistically, I would want to rotate for the West Coast games and keep a stronger lineup for the game closer to home.
And dude, that's fine. But like in these 3 matches, I need to see Low, I need to see Pereira, I need to see Torres for something, some certain amount. Like, and we need to see these guys because they can help us. And it's good to have some better fresh legs. So what about you? So obviously Kai at the left, right?
Yes.
Diamond midfield at the left. Oh, by the way, how do you feel about Jim allowing the U20 kids to go if they get called up?
I'm perfectly fine with it. They deserve it. They work their ass off, and for like Chicago to block, like these kids work their fucking ass off to get to a pretty prestigious tournament for that age group. Like Jim understands the need for those kids. How do you think we sold Paxton? Like, how do you think guys like Quinn and McGlynn really got their names? It's because of this tournament. Like, yeah, Paxton might be coming off the bench, but hey, guess what? He's on a team that just advanced to the DFB Pokal final. Like
again, dude, these guys are always in that fucking final, man.
Yeah, first time since 2018 when they won it.
Jeez Louise, man.
But like, hey, yeah, like that's. I don't understand teams that block. Like it's in the summer, and I think it helps with the development. But
I don't care how bad you need the player, man. It's just it's more beneficial for the player to just go. So I'm there with you. But the midfield, the diamond, what do you got?
Listen, Jesus gonna come in and save this midfield. They talked about Jesus coming in to play the bottom, and I'm okay with because I think I've wanted him to come in to kind of rotate in. I think in the midfield, that's where like in the diamonds, I think it gets interesting. I think you're still gonna have Ali because Ali does his best in these kind of games, and I want McGlynn in there. I want Jack because essentially it's the Red Bull system versus Red Bull system, and having a player like Jack in a Red Bull system is kind of adverse to what you would think a Red Bull system is. But what he does is he pings those balls in behind. We saw last year here. That's what helped unlock this Red Bull side. So I think you got to go with that, and of course Kosdijk at the 10 because he's this point, he's always dangerous.
Yeah, man. Jack definitely a little bit of a bounce back here. You know what I will say though about Gazag. I would like to see him put some more goals that are not just some PKs. And I do think that once this attack gets flowing,
I mean,
goals
hey,
will
he's
come
at
for
what in all
everybody.
competitions? I think he's at least like 7 goals and he's like 8 assists. I think in league play. Like, so he's putting in the numbers. Like, I think that I think like last year, him having those goals in league, yeah, like he's still gonna score a crazy amount of goals, but at the same time, he's a 10, and a 10 is supposed to be the assist maker, that kind of creationist, and like at this point. So I'm looking in.
He's good in transition too, especially with creating.
So all right, so I don't. All right, this is definitely not right. They're saying he has 4 assists and
In all
in league
competitions or just league play?
and in league play, when I know he has in.
Are you on MLS or are you on Foot Mob?
I'm on. That's weird. I'm on on transfer market.
Good old transfer market.
You don't see what.
Toronto's favorite way of scouting.
See what. Career stats. Here we go. Look at least what league play. What Gazdag has. I know he was. Yeah, in league play this year, he has 3 goals and 7 assists. I know he has another 3 goals at least. And so like, I mean, what, 6 goals and 7 assists in 15 games? Pretty good numbers at this market season. It's a lot more balanced.
Yeah. That's for sure, man. That is for sure. What do you got for the forwards? Urren Carranza?
I think so. I think if worst comes to worst, you throw in potentially, Torres or Quinn. I think Quinn's been doing great as coming off the bench and being that forward sub. So I would love to see him getting more minutes. But yeah, I think you're gonna roll with your usual forwards and just ask Uwat to stretch that back line. And I think he's gonna be the one that's gonna drag Tolkien, which will allow Carranza and Gazdag to deal with the center backs.
Should be a lot of fun, man. Yeah, especially if those are center backs. I definitely like this matchup for sure. But let's get that prediction, Justin. What do you think is going to happen on a Saturday night here?
I think it's going to be an ugly one. I'm definitely not expecting super high score, but I think the Union bounce back, and I'm going to say a 2-1 victory on the road. I think it's something that I think Jim's going to want to make a statement after to be honest, a poor performance in LA.
Yeah, I think that's the name of the game, like making a statement. And look, it is just Red Bull. It is just one match, but after what just happened, just keep that psyche up. And like, just as a competitor, like what happened Tuesday, it has to piss you off. So put it out there on Saturday, And I want to. I think it's going to be low scoring because it's just Red Bull. It's always like that. I have a 1-0 victory here for the Union, but yeah, man, I want to see some fight from these guys, some grit from these guys as well. They looked a little defeated. And that was very disappointing to see. So definitely want to see these guys bounce back for sure. Not making the trip this year, Justin.
Oh, I'll be there.
You're being in Red Bull Arena. Oh man,
will indeed, sir.
It's a good trip, man. It's a good trip. I have to go up there for one of these matches, but
it's a fun. I'll be hooking up with our pals from the EPL boys.
that's right,
Matt and JD. I will be tailgating with those fine gentlemen. So I'm sure social media pics and accounts will be tagged. It'll be a good time.
Oh man, let's go, man. And Matt, I feel for Matt, man. It's got to be hard. He breathes everything Red Bull. And it's got to be rough. It's got to be rough having to deal with that as a fan because no one wants to deal with it at the end of the day.
Yeah, you just want to support your club. So all the love in the world to our pal.
Yeah, not just Matt, but all the Red Bull supporters groups, because we may be rivals on the pitch, but we understand. We understand wholeheartedly. So definitely show support, man. But Justin, please be safe and enjoy your time up there, my man. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to do it for this episode of Duke by the River. Thank you so much for tuning on in. We'll be back again next week. Obviously, next week's going to be a hectic one. So we're going to be back in the rhythm, guys. So make sure you guys are subscribed here on the Parcero Philly's YouTube channel. For all the live viewings, of course, the podcast you can find under Duke by the River. You can find that wherever you podcast. Make sure you guys are following on Twitter. We're active on there, active on game days. Definitely great follow to have. Keep you up to date with everything Philadelphia Union. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Justin General Glenovi Friedberg. Of course, I go by the name of El Parcero Philly, and we're telling you guys to DOOP on.